Today we're going to talk about the trouble that you often face when you are designing an A. 1-point perspective, 2-point perspective, 3-point perspective, it becomes more evident. It's very hard to do A because of the angle issue and the center triangle. It could be triangle or many other different shapes, but usually what we see is a triangle. But it's extremely difficult to solve the problems when you do not get the correct proportion. So here, I drew the most easiest way to draw the A. So this is the most basic, right? So using 3x4, and then you can create an A. But if you want to do pointier top, or even more pointier top, the box became more issue. In here, this is a 1-point perspective, all of this. So it's much easier to solve it, but when it becomes going into this 2-point perspective, it becomes much more harder. I'm going to demonstrate all those mistakes and the trouble that you're going to be facing. So if I want to start narrowing this down, so naturally you're going to be connecting this. Let's say I'm using the same 3x4, right? So I'm going to be connecting this, connecting there, and connecting there, right? And issue is I need the same thickness. And if I bring it down from the here, you don't have much space except a tiny triangle in between, right? So what you need to do is, in this case, you're probably going to bring it down, giving the bottom a little more less room, and then you probably want to cut this one, right? So ended up you're not going to use this top because that becomes proportionally looking better, right? So that's what happened here. So it ended up you're going to get rid of this. Or you just extend more, and then maybe you can have more room. So if I use the much more taller way, then would it give more room? Yeah, it will give you a little more room, right? But that doesn't mean they look better. So when you are doing the 3x4 designs, you probably want to extend it to the next box, so 3x5, and then ended up cutting it. So that ends up proportionally much better. Good. So if you want to use the same size, that becomes more ideal. So that becomes more issue if you want to cut this one to this much and using the sharp point. So most of the time you want to avoid this kind of sharp point A when you are doing the perspective. Right now we are just looking at the front, but can you imagine you are doing this design to here, right? So I already demonstrated what's going to happen if you are using the 3x4, right? So this is the basic shape, this one, right? Here. And then if I do this one, this is the result. So it doesn't have much space for me to show. So ended up, just like what I explained, you're going to have a tiny triangle there, and that ended up giving up the half of the bottom proportion. Right? And then it's going to be looking like that. Right? And then the rest will be gone. Right? And then that will be your A. Right? So here, here, and then there. So ended up, what did I mention? Cutting this looks proportionally much better, right? So if I bring this exact same rule to here, and then see what happens. I already divided proportionally. So 3x5 this time I used even, right? But because the path to the side become narrow, right? So what's going to happen is, it shows only small, tiny parts here as a place that you can put your space for A. So again, in this case, you probably want to cut this part out to make it proportionally much better. So when you are doing the design, when you are designing A, right, you have to deal with the space issue before you finalize it. So you ended up making it much taller, just like this, and then cut it to make the same size with the other. Okay? Right? So that's the kind of things that you have to keep that in your mind. This becomes more difficult when you are doing the 3-point perspective. I remember seeing some of the designs that some people trying to do the A in 3-point perspective. Let's see if I quickly just try to do it without the proportion. So here, vanishing point 1, vanishing point 2, vanishing point 3. So if I decide I'm going to do this much thickness, right? And then let's just quickly find the center. Right, that much we can give. So if I do sharp point A, then there are not much space that, let's say you divide this, right? And then giving there, right? And, oh, sorry. So it should have been following that. Wrong angle, right? And then this angle. Then again, this is the center. So there are not much space in the bottom to design what you need. So ended up much more squeezed comparing to even 2-point perspective. So you ended up making it wider, then it looks more duller, right? You want the A to be slick. So if you are doing the 3-point perspective and you probably want to widen this angle much, right? Generously, right? So if I'm going to do a 3-point perspective drawing A, then I'll probably use this much wider top A. So that look much better in this. But if you are doing the 3-point perspective, bird's eye view, looking down, then that could change the whole thing because you're, it gets narrow on the bottom, not the top, right? Then you can actually do different designs, right? But again, when you are designing the A, make sure that you plan ahead with other letters, how you want to design other letters, and then you make extended lines to make the correct A, proportionally corrected A design. So that's going to be a difficult part. So I'm going to make another video that's showing how to do the A. Probably 1 point, 2 point. Hopefully I can fit the third one, 3-point perspective, how to do A. All right.